Welcome back to another episode of Queued Up. We are heading back into the Rift with League of Legends. My name is Chris. Today with me is Eli, Kepley, and Justin. How are y'all doing today?
Doing well. Hope you guys had a good week. Yeah,
it was
good
fun.
action.
Yeah, I got to play some WASD. We're going to talk about it a little bit later, but it feels good so far. I'm kind of excited for it.
We are. And, well, talking about WASD, we've also entered into Act 1, and it is the beginning of the end. The Twilight Trials have begun, and they had an amazing cinematic that came out that kind of pushed us off of the Spirit Blossom into this new act for Season 3 that we have, and it kind of gave us a little taste of what's to come. Did everyone watch it?
I just watched it, and this might be a stupid question, but who's the creepy figure in the background?
We will see.
Is that maybe the new champion?
Teaser of our new champion. They did have the spear and the glaive on the back of one of them, the sword in the other. Also, we saw Xin Zhao looking quite distressed, so we don't know if it's premonition or a dream that's coming out from him, but he did not look happy.
No.
I think thematically it's pretty cool how we went from Spirit Blossom, which is such a nice, poppy, like beautiful, upbeat type of environment, and then they very seamlessly transitioned it into the really dark and like gloomy, darkened stuff, and that it has like a direct transition with you see in the Spirit Blossom, the Yunara tree looking all decrepit and just messed up.
Yeah, I agree. And the mythic skin from the season pass, Jarvan, that's a pretty sick skin too. Also kind of looked like the thing in the figure, the cinematic, so maybe it's just Jarvan. Maybe Jarvan gets corrupted.
Maybe it is. I mean, we do know that if deep dive into lore, which I did for Yunara, she was a part of the Darkened Warriors, so she did have that before kind of being more resurrected, not really resurrected, but coming back into this time when Jin Zhao is finally getting back over to Ionia, or from Ionia over back to where he is now. And we kind of see this transition. We know that we are going back to the classic skin now for Season 3, so that has been removed, the Spirit Blossom, so we're getting back into it. But I was kind of concerned that we didn't have that kind of thematrical theme going into the back onto the Rift. But after seeing this trailer, it kind of makes a lot of sense that we're seeing a lot of that kind of die down from that cheery Spirit Blossom, as J-Dog said, back into this kind of more dreary war type zone. And that's kind of what we know League for, right? Is that big war zone that we go into when we load into the Rift. So I think they're going to cook up a lot of stuff right now. And we kind of got our first little taste of who we might see soon. They did have the launch trailer that actually came out yesterday with the release of Season 3 Act 1. So we kind of got to see a little bit more skins and then Xin Zhao's rework as well.
Yeah, was anybody else pausing their video while they were watching it? Like, is the frame rate bad on this thing? What the heck's going on?
I thought my laptop was freaking out. I was like, am I got too many programs open?
Mom,
like, what's going on?
the router.
But no, it's just the style of the video. So
No.
I'm excited for the new champion, though. That's the thing that I care the most about. Like, yeah, the cinematic's cool, whatever, but like, come on, show me what else I can play in the video game.
I don't care about the champion unless it's a support. Then I care.
Well, maybe
I mean, you're the guy that buys
support.
all the skins, so it
Haven't
makes
had
sense
it
you
for
care
a
more
while.
about the visuals.
But speaking about more of the Season 3 Act 1, WASD, as Eli alluded to earlier, has been introduced into the PvE. You can go in and play it. Most of us have played it as well. I'll start off with mine. So it took me a while, and Eli was there seeing me. I tried out actually a couple different mappings for my keys. Ultimately ended up on, of course, the WASD movement, Q for my Q ability, E for my E ability, R for my R ability, but then changing the W to the shift, which is something I had played previously in Smite. So that's something that I had kind of been used to. So I put it over and then was using left click obviously for the mouse, but then bound my right mouse button or right mouse button to the auto attack champion or target champion. I'm kind of wondering what everyone else may have mapped theirs out to.
Yeah, what did you map yours to, Jim?
I tried it and it just didn't work for me. I don't really know, which is so weird because I have a big WASD background. It's WASD, by the way, not WASD. There were some Zoomers in the office trying to say that it's not WASD or that it's not WASD. But I just couldn't make it work. I have a lot of experience playing games with WASD, but I've spent the last like 4 years playing League on a traditional, click in the QWER. So I couldn't make it work. I gave up after the game.
Yeah, I had a really good experience with it. I changed none of the keybinds. I wanted
Just
the
kept
authentic
default?
experience, so I kept it default. And I liked it, so everything was good. My movement was fluid. I feel like it's very champion specific. Like going into the jungle, there were champions that I liked with it and didn't like with it. As an AD carry, I'm really bad at AD carry, but it did naturally like raise the floor a little bit, right? So like I could kite a little bit better. I could control it more. And then from a support perspective, like honestly, at least right now, once I get used to it, my opinion may change, but I'm better at clicking as support. You know, I skill shots with Blitz or Pike or my famous fiddlesticks, baby. Right? Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I played a few games at ARAM, and I got Twitch one game and Ezreal the other game, which are like 2 80 carries, obviously, but very different 80 carries. I feel like one feature I want them to add is the ability to pick different mappings per champion. That would probably be a pretty elaborate interface to implement, but it's like if I'm Twitch, my E throws the cask, which is kind of like something that you throw, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted that on my right mouse button so I could like point and right click. But with Ezreal, I'd rather his Q be on right click because I'm using it constantly, right? So I don't know. It didn't feel like super intuitive. I was definitely, and everyone in the lobby was obviously trying it because people are just flashing accidentally for no reason constantly and then just spamming the question mark ping over them like, bro, what? So it was fun. I definitely felt like Gumayushi in a couple of my fights because I could like kind of sidestep. Twitch ult is broken on it, by the way, because you can just ult and then just move around and just hold right click or hold left click on your target and be kiting the whole time.
Yeah,
So,
Twitch is one of those like kiting, like where you just glide on people late game characters. So it does seem like a big WASD benefactor.
for sure.
Speaking, alluding to what you're saying there, just holding on the left click, obviously, not sure how much you read into the post, but they did say that one thing that they're doing is reducing the amount of attack speed if you just hold down that left click without taking your finger off.
I did
of it
feel that
when
a
you
little
move
bit.
it.
Yeah.
So, and this has been proven. I've actually seen a couple of tweets where people are actually showing real numbers of where they're holding it down and not, super powering their character like some other are doing for farming engagement, where we'll see the jinxes with, full attack speed almost, and they're just holding it down while Get Excited is on repeat. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of numbers there, and using WASD will be able to let you glide. But I've seen some more tweets where people are actually putting in real numbers. They're, doing a difference between this is me holding down left click, and these are the numbers I'm getting, versus this is me not holding down left click. This is me moving, but then, tapping it occasionally so that it resets that damage factor, and you are actually getting more damage when you release that left click button and move around. But this is vanilla, and Riot did say that they want to, put it in its most base form so that they can adjust it before it ends up going live.
Which is dumb. Like they shouldn't do that. It's stupid that you're gonna want to introduce a control scheme that you're obviously the target is to get more players into the game. You want to lower the floor so more people feel accessible, then come into league, and then you say, well, actually, we want to nerf it because people are complaining that this old method will feel outdated. It's like you don't want to come in and like super balanced control schemes. You want to open up the floor. And I would say, if anything, you should just start moving towards retiring the age-old click system, and you should get WASD or you should get controller support implemented. And this is your new base, and then everyone's on the same playing field.
I do think it's like a good move in the right direction. I'm curious to see if pro players switch to it and like their success rates with it. I have a feeling they're not going to change, mostly because of the camera. The camera was really clunky. The new camera where it's like very Super Vive-esque, where like you move the mouse to the edge of the screen and it kind of like extends your field of view. Like there's a lot of champions that it just feels really strange on, to be honest. I was watching Xerath play Xerath on it, and he had made a lot of good points about like Xerath is a champion that your Q you can hit on the very edge of your camera. So it's not like a locked camera type champion. And then halfway through the game, he realized he didn't have to play WASD on locked camera, and you can play the traditional way, but it's still weird. And then plus there's all these bugs where, like, let's say you decided to put left click on one of your abilities. If you're just trying to buy stuff in the shop, now when you're clicking on the items to buy, you're queuing in Fountain for no reason, and you look like you're schizophrenic. But it's like, I don't know. There's a lot of bugs that need to be worked out. Also, clicking the mini map is weird. Like,
Yeah.
he tried to click his mini map and then he ulted. Like, and now now his ult's on cooldown. And I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff that needs to be fixed before they add it to like the normal environment.
Also, as a really aggressive support player, and I assume this would be a factor for jungles too, roaming was like infinitely more difficult because I would try to peek mid lane, and normally I would just like click in a lane and I'd start that path. But I have to like look at my mini map because I can still move. I'm like trying to drive myself through the jungle on the mini map.
Yeah, it's weird.
So it'd be nice to have like, maybe they had this input. I didn't dig too deep into it, where I could just click to move and it starts that path. And then as long as I don't press anything, it goes there. So I can look at the other spots.
The way Zwag did that was like his W on Xerath is like the the meteor that comes down, he would just click meteor on the map, and then his character would move to try to meteor over there, and then he would just cancel it once he got to the spot that he wanted to be. So there's like workarounds, but you shouldn't have to do that, right? So.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see what they do in the future. As they said, it is going to be this first implementation. Then when it goes live, it'll only go live to normals, and then when they feel it's a good spot, it'll go into rank, and then possibly seen into competitive maybe sometime later. So we'll have to see what they do. Let us know if you've played it and what you think about it in this first implementation. It should be chaos. Hopefully it'll be a lot of fun going forward though. But moving on, we do have some more big stories, and one of them is that the world skins, even though we knew what champions we were going to, we didn't know what they look like. We finally do, and all the animations. We can see some of them on the screen here, the Yone and the Silas. We also got the Gnar, the Varus, the Pike, and the Vi. All of them look great. I'm wondering what everyone's favorite skin was so far.
I like the Yone one a lot. I thought the Yone one looked clean. The animations were crazy when you were showing them to me in the office. The Silas one is also pretty cool because it shows like all the other champions, right? Or how does it work?
So it shows his other skins on those because basically stealing the old,
right?
Like the shadows of those other skins on there.
And that's the prestige one.
Yeah.
So
okay. So that's you got to spend $250 for that one.
I don't know. How they're gonna
No, not 250. Not 250. You can also probably get it for the what is it? The stuff you get for crafting. Yeah, I've been sitting on like 140 of that mythic essence for a while, and I think it'll be 150. So I'm right there.
Just get a little more.
I just need to get a little bit more. I might need to buy like the TFT pass or something to get the final.
There you go.
For me, it's the Silas and the Yone one. I think the Yone, it looks the best. Those are two champions I play a lot, and they're really dope. The Faker like shushing people with the skin. I love all the references they have to everybody.
Yeah, mine's Gnar. Just the subtlety to the the trophy headbutt scenario, just like mega Gnar picking it up and just clanking it on his head. I think it's like super subtle stuff like that if you know, and then like you'll know the fake League fans that have the skin because it's like, oh, I just love that he bashes his head, and it's like, but why did he bash his head? And then second place for me is just Pike because Kyria. We love Kyria.
I mean, for me, first it was the Gumayushi on the Varus. I think the Varus just looks sick. But alluding to those little tiny ones is him with the Massive Croissant during the recall animation where he's eating that. Love that one. And then my also second favorite was the fact that they finally gave Owner his like patented walk with the jacket behind him. So when he recalls, you see him from behind. He has an earlier skin where it's actually kind of from the front of him wearing the jacket. This time we get it from the back side. So you see his name on it, jacket with all that aura on that Vi skin. And now we also do have a... So we have Gumayushi from Jinx from last year, and now we have Vi with Owner from this year. So this is kind of cool that those skins are kind of go hand in hand with each other.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw a tweet that on the Owner jacket, if you inspect that model in game, there's like a bunch of photos, I guess family photos or something of him inside the jacket.
That's it.
So it's like a super neat like hidden detail. They've started to do that some. Like with Necrit, who's one of my favorite League YouTubers, they like plant like little things to bait him because he likes to fly under the maps and look at how the assets and models are always used. So it's kind of cool that they're doing that little subtle stuff.
Riot does it better than anybody when it comes to that stuff, man. Like I feel like other games need to like take a page out of their book and like pay homage to the greats in the game within the game. So
they're the best at doing it for T1 too.
Right.
I mean, this is T1. These are the golden boys of League.
Practice rounds to get it right.
They were not cutting any corners or any budget with these skins.
I was thinking about that, with the Owner jacket. Obviously not in the League Spear, but for TFT, the first finals that they had for that, the Keen who ended up winning, his jacket actually, if you had donated to it, you actually got your name written in it. So the jacket he has like all the Patreons or the people who supported him. I end up donating to him, so my name is somewhere in the jacket that he got from that TFT Worlds one. So it's cool that they're continuing that trend along the line. I did want to ask though, is this your favorite skin line from Worlds? If not, what is your favorite skin from a previous Worlds champion?
It's not. I like the. I'm a big sucker for the IG line. All of those skins. I think the bot lane from that skin line, the Kai'Sa Rakan, those are my favorite for sure. And I have both of them. So.
I'm not honestly a fan of the world skins in general. Like it's cool that they pay tribute to them, but it's just like not my thing.
They're too cheap for Kepley.
No,
not expensive enough.
It's not even that. I was actually thinking probably my favorite world skin still to this day is probably because it's just simple as Type A Assassins Dr. Mundo with the trophy throw because you get the trophy bonk. It was just such like a different time back then, and so for that, like sound effects were kind of great quality. So I just kind of always cherish that one, but I typically don't buy the world skins. I will buy this Pyke though for Carrier, like because I just support Carrier. Yeah, I think he's the best sport in the world. It's not even close.
I'm generally just a cheap ass, and I don't buy many skins in general. I just buy the skins of the champions I play. So I don't know. I'm not crazy about them. I think these are cool, but I'm still probably not gonna.
You don't have any of these from a chest, man? I've gotten a bunch I think the Rakan one is the only one I bought, and a bunch of these I've just gotten from
To be
those.
honest, my inventory is stacked with chests that I haven't opened.
Okay,
So
that's
I might-
crazy. That's crazy.
I might
Eli.
have them
All
in
the free
there,
stuff,
but
just doesn't use it.
I've got a bunch of stuff.
I open every single thing after every single game. If I get a duplicate freaking champion shard, that thing's getting turned into blue essence that I'm never gonna use right after the game.
I'm just old school, man. I just want to play the video game.
You're not old school, Eli. You're the newest League player on the desk.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've been playing League for 4 or 5 years. So yeah, I'm newer to League, but I'm old school in video games. Back in my day, we didn't have to buy skins, all right? We earned them through gameplay, all right? So
You did earn those free skins though, Eli.
you're right, but
They're
Take
chests,
advantage
they're
of them.
free.
Sorry.
yeah, I should probably
Or subtle plug, make sure you watch Worlds on LOLesports.com and you'll get some capsule drops that are most likely gonna have
Oh, true.
That's also true.
Yeah.
I'm along with Kep. My favorites are the Taipei Assassins Ezreal, and then also the Taipei Assassins Shin, because he has the thunder sticks
Yeah.
that glow now. They end up changing that, so they go on.
that's
And then,
cool.
of course, the foam finger for the Ezreal. It's a lot
The
of
foam
fun.
finger skin, yeah, that's classic.
But that's what we have for the big stories. Everything's wrapping up. We're going into the split 3, our season 3, so we'll have a lot more skins and whatnot to talk about a little bit later. But let's go ahead and jump into the feed here. Everyone's brought something forward that they found interesting for League this week. We'll go ahead and start off with Jadon.
Yeah, for all the hungry League players, we brought these topics out here. We're gonna feed them to you. I brought this. We covered this on Rapid Recap yesterday. The Esports Decade Awards happened. If you know, every year they have the Esports Awards. This was their 10th year, so they made a big deal about it. They handed out a bunch of awards, and Riot won a ton of different titles there. We saw the Game of the Year. They won Publisher of the Year. Faker won PC Player of the Year. Coma won Coach of the... Actually, I just
Of
said
the
year
decade.
a bunch of the decade for all of those.
Yeah.
Coma won Coach of the Decade. Shocks won Esports On Air Talent of the Decade. So Riot has just been getting so many flowers.
League Worlds was also
Yeah,
the event of the
live
decade.
event of the decade.
2018,
The 27, I think 2017.
2017.
It
I
the
was
year the
reading-
Dragon flew in, yeah.
Yep.
I was reading through them. I'm like, are these the Riot Awards or are these the Esports Decade Awards? Because it really was just completely dominated, which deservedly, I would say. They've been putting on the best tournaments and like in all of esports. I think, like I said before, Riot does things better than most other publishers, in my opinion. And you know, I hope that other publishers watch this and they're like, hey, maybe we should do what they're doing so we can have a chance.
Yeah, and there definitely might be some weird funding things on the back end. I don't know
That's
where
true.
Esports Awards gets their monies from, but I agree with you. A lot of these awards were pretty deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm critical of Riot, but you also have to give them their flowers, right? I mean, they know how to put on good events, and they've always taken care of the esports scene. I mean, I'll talk about mine here in a moment, or maybe it's a good segue. I am next.
Yeah.
But if I segue into mine, right, like one of the reasons that I do think it deserves esports of the decade is because, like right now, they're running, and it gets longer every year. They're running the 24/7 live stream on Twitch, where you can go back and watch all these old worlds. And I'm remembering nuggets that have just like slipped my mind over the years, and like I forgot how great the casters were back then. So like D-Man, I mean that's a caster that I haven't thought about in ages, but just hearing his voice, just reignites like a bunch of memories of cool things, and like they just had such good energy. Freak back on the desk, Riven, who's now overcasting Valorant, Rivington the Third, if I want to be proper. But it's just like it's just a ton of great memories. So like for me, this is something that everyone should be watching, because if you're unfamiliar with League as total, like you've only been here 4 or 5 years, like these, in my opinion, are the golden age things, and you can go back and you can live through that and watch it. You can really watch the game evolve over the years. You're going to see a lot of the same champions, but that's because those champions have been good for a long time. But to see folks like Insec, like in my opinion, way more deserving of like of the Champions Hall of Champions thing than someone like Uzi, right? I know there's like a lot of controversy there, but just people like Insect didn't really accomplish much, and when you're watching all these, you're going to see Insect never wins. Why is he in the same class as Faker? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that one I love watching because I like to watch the evolution of League through it. You always start at the bottom, and then you're watching like kind of plays like we were talking about on the screen there. Eli didn't recognize that Maokai skin from it, and
Yeah, that does not
But
look like
also
Maokai
one of
to
the
me.
other big things that we're talking about are like the different variations of how these, champions have evolved. Looking at that Maokai, I was having to explain the ring around him to other people before because they didn't realize that his ultimate was, just a, big massive AoE that followed him around, reducing magic resist and armor, and helping buff the team in that way when you stood inside of it, not, the roots that come and entangle you. Obviously, we have Rammus and Rise who also have different ults, so you kind of get to see the evolution, as well as the biggest one for me this year is looking at the old maps comparative now to the new one. You have all these alcoves, you have Otacon added, you have back then the dragon was just a buff that was a timer buff on you as well. So you get to see a lot of this evolution through it, and I just love watching
the grass is just so bright on the old map. Like, man, the vision of these players had to suffer from staring at that all day. But just the visuals have been upgraded significantly, like the portrait art, like you're talking about. Like the Uncle Sam Rise skin, like I don't feel like anybody would use that today. It's just a different time. I don't know.
But it's just like I mean, Rise been reworked so many times that you get to see Rise change like almost every world.
Yeah,
because like they can never find the perfect balance for him. It's really neat, and it like the health bars aren't even as nice back then, which is crazy. But like the health
everything
bars,
looks so different.
Yeah,
it's literally looks like I'm watching N64 compared to like the actual PC game that it is now.
But just a lot of nostalgia. Everyone should go watch that stream at least a little bit.
No, it's one of the streams like this are one of the cool things about League to me because like it's like this passive thing that runs in the background. We're getting close to Worlds, and we'll get to the tracking the pros when all the pros come to Worlds. We have all these automated streams. I don't know if they're automated actually, but they seem automated because you never see the person, but it's just someone spectating them in solo queue, and you get to see all these games with 7 different Worlds players in the same lobby.
It's a spectator script. They just run a script and it just follows them. It's pretty cool, the tech behind it, actually.
But like these like background live streams that just happen are it's so dope in League.
Yep. And well, we get to watch it for the many more days, so that leads up into Worlds as well. So go check it out if you haven't. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to mine. Along with what we were talking about in some of the big story there, we do have the roadmap that's finally been released for Act 1, Trials of Twilight, what we've just gone into. Obviously, the Xinjiao visual update also went live yesterday, which is something I think is really cool. We were talking about how he looks, and he's probably one of the champs that needed that visual update for a while. But some of the other big ones that, of course, I'm happy about is we get the world stuff that's coming forward that we get to look forward in October, a new comic for the Trials of Twilight as well. So maybe we get to learn a little bit more about the new champ because unfortunately we don't have that new champ coming out or more information coming out about just yet. I think Mbessa was released in November, so it would be like Act 2 of the Trials of Twilight that we might see more. Of course, your shop is always fun. I know, maybe not for Eli since he doesn't like to get the skins, but I always like to see, what deals I can get on maybe some of those more expensive skins for myself. But anything on this roadmap stick out to y'all?
When do they usually release the song for Worlds? Like that's usually one of my favorite things. Like the music video and the song is usually super hype. Like, do we have any intel on that?
Probably closer to October.
Yeah, like usually a month, 2 or 3 months beforehand. I feel like we got some information. I feel like I saw some news, but I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not pulling to my head about what it was.
I can't remember the artist name, but
I covered it on
Instagram.
I covered it on Rapid Recap. I just can't freaking remember what it was.
Shout out to Rapid Recap. Check out J-Dog.
If I go back in my history, I'll find a little image. I think it was just that they set the date. We have the date for when it's going to be in. It is in October. And I remember saying that, like, they had big shoes to fill this year. I felt like last year's song with Linkin Park was really dope. Not my favorite one, but still a really good one. So.
Yeah, it comes out October 10th, according to this.
Okay. Not far.
Yeah, we're
it's like
close.
Almost a week and a half away.
Comes out on my birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, that's your birthday
present for Chris.
Okay, it's October 10th. Yeah.
Yeah.
10, you get a cool little graphic video for it. It'd be nice. Look for all the Easter eggs in it.
Yeah. They're going to put you in it, Chris.
My favorite thing from this event, though, is Doombots. Doombots is like my favorite fun mode. I just think it is like, if you want to get better as a player, I actually think Doombots is super valuable because you get better at dodging like the most OP skill shots. So you're going to be able to dodge basic ones. And you're just like, for me, it's like I could go on Discord and try to find a pre-made 5-man team, but I just run it with solo queue, man. And there are some absolute just like tater tots, man. They can't they don't know what they're doing, but it's cool.
I didn't know if you were getting legends in your Doombots games or
no. I get trolls, man. Yeah. But I'm gonna clear it, and I always clear it every time it's out. I clear the hardest one with just a bunch of randoms.
I've heard this one's harder than the previous ones.
Oh, it's hard.
It's really hard. Yeah, I think Los Ratones released a video.
I think this morning. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I definitely want to watch it.
Yeah, but if any boys from the office or anyone online, you want to run some Doom bots, let me know.
Hit up Kepley.
WASD only.
It's not out yet.
Oh,
It's just on,
yeah, that makes sense.
PvE.
On
Play it
PvE,
on
you can do
PvE,
Doom
actually.
bots with WASD. That's actually how I did my
the-
practice.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Real trial comes out there.
Cool.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to Eli.
Yeah, so one of the things that was coming out of the Esports World Cup camp is the Esports Nation Cup, which is, if you guys haven't heard, where it's esports, but you have to play within your country. So no
World
mixed
Cup.
teams. Yeah. It's basically the Olympics of esports. So this account here, Express LOL, put together some hypothetical teams for League of Legends, and it's a little bit hard to see, but some interesting ones. I thought that Hansama getting the French ADC role, I would rather see Kalist there personally. Kalist is one of my favorite players. Hansama's a beast too, so I can't talk too much trash about him. But another one that was hotly debated was, should it be Faker or Chovy for South Korea? The interesting thing about this to me, though, is like there's already so many all Korean or like all Chinese teams, and they're the two best regions. So it's kind of like probably just going to be dominated by South Korea and China. But it's fun to look at some of the like hypothetical teams for other nations as well.
Yeah, I would. Obviously, you want your best foot forward on something like that, but it'd be cool to have a rule where, like, if you're already on an established team, no more than like 2 players from the team can be there. Something like that would be cool. And I was actually, when this came out, I went and I looked at Liquipedia and I was trying to figure out like how many actual Americans are in the LTA North. And to not my surprise, we're not even the most dominant nation in our Korea.
God, man.
We have more Koreans than Americans in there.
That's tough.
And so it's like you really don't have that much to pick from, but I would love for some North American org to try to come into the scene. And obviously you always want to win, right? So that's going to be your goal, but your mission is just to only have North American players. And you pull from that talent pool, so then we actually can farm up and train a really good North American team.
That EG team that won LCS before the LTA transition, that was Danny, Vulcan, JoJo. Inspired Impact. Two imports in the top.
Our Canadians as well.
But Canadians part of it. Okay, well, do you want to?
I would count.
We want North
Olympic.
American. You want North American,
Yeah, from
not just
Olympic,
American.
Canada doesn't count.
Well, the Nations Cup, Canada and
They have their own
Right.
team.
would
Yeah,
be separate.
Right. You know, so
Yeah.
that's why I was.
So just
sorry,
pure
that's-
North American players. Like I feel like we're
pure
going
North
back to the
American.
bat. I feel like we have to go to the past, bro. Like we got to ask Dyrus to come out of retirement. We got to hit up Sneaky.
No, we got
EDS,
liquor. We
bro.
got licorice over Dyrus
Yeah.
at least. There's
Sneaky,
definitely.
would Sneaky be the ADC for the American team?
Oh no,
No.
It'd be
Jan.
Oh, yeah.
You got
okay,
Jan,
of course. Yeah.
He's American. So
I would even probably take double lift over Sneaky.
right now. Well, yeah. I mean,
Double
I thought Chris was about to smack me. When I said that, I thought Chris was about to smack me.
I agree with that. Anytime
okay.
in
There
life, I
is
take
one
double.
player
over
who
Sneaky.
played in the Challenger League at least for a split this year. I mean, obviously
True,
Double Lift
true.
has had a lot more experience, and Double Lift does put his main focus still into League, whereas Sneaky is more of the variety streamer now. So
I do agree also with Kep, your point that it would probably, actually I don't remember which one of you made the point, that it probably would just be, Korea and China dominated. Even the LCP team that would come out of the Taiwanese team, I think is the specific nationality of that team. That would be a really good roster. But my thing is, that's how all international events are for League. Every time I would go to watch a bunch of different teams play, it's always dominated by LCK and LPL teams. So the Nations Cup's no different. It's going to be a bunch of infighting between all the other smaller teams, and then maybe someone will get an upset, and then we'll get China and
I
Korea
mean,
in
it's
the finals.
like the USA playing basketball in the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to win. So.
Yeah, but also in the Olympics, we dominated for so long in basketball, but then eventually people started catching
That's
up.
true.
Like nowadays, it is a very close match between the other nations and stuff in the Olympics.
Yeah.
So if this is something that continues, maybe
Maybe it helps us.
maybe
Yeah.
20 years down the line in League of Legends 2, we'll be ready.
A little more competitive.
You're gonna have to pull a North American player from somewhere.
The reality
Someone's
is
gonna
we're
get
just
a moment.
we're just not going to be competitive. At least this first year, I don't think.
yeah, well, we'll have to see heading into next year. November next year is when the Nations Cup does kick off for its initial run, our inaugural run there. But let's go ahead and speaking of teams and players, let's jump back into our fantasy league here. Round 5 just concluded last week. I actually did pretty well in the actual round itself. Still pretty far down in the actual polls, but we have this week is kind of getting back into that really big mix where you have to kind of juggle that team because we're having some of those better teams that drop down into the lower bracket for elimination. And then, of course, those budget players are playing against some of the better teams now. So we'll go ahead and take a look at everyone's teams for this coming week real quick and then talk about what we think.
What did I pick? I think I'm up first. I picked Robo from Loud, UG from Team Liquid. I can't believe I did that. I picked a Liquid player. Romer from Pain Gaming, FBI, and Elia from 100 Thieves because I love that buff.
Oh, only four variety buffs
Only
there.
4, yeah.
All right, we'll take a look at mine here real quick. I went for the 5 variety buff, even though there are 2 players that'll be playing against each other. But FMB from Red, Griffin from Loud, Romer from Pain, Jan from Liquid, and then Elia from 100 Thieves, who will be playing against each other. So my hopes that one of the teams as well, and I get some good points off of that variety with it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is mine. I picked 2 players from Furia, Guigo and Jojo, top in support. FBI 100 Thieves, Romer for Pain, and then UG Team Liquid. I actually looked at all the matchups and just decided to make pick'ems essentially, like which teams I think are going to win each of these, and then pick teams from those. So, and some of these are close though. They're going to be some good matches.
Nice. For me, I went for the full 5 variety buff, and I've got some. I think I'm all 5. No, Griffin, you guys have as well, but I've got Thanatos up top, Griffin in the jungle, Quid in the mid lane, Rahel. I think that's Quid. Did I take Quid is the FlyQuest jungler? I think that's who I got. Okay, it says 100 Thieves, but I had the FlyQuest.
Well, there's Quid and Quad.
Quid and Quad, so it's very confusing. Rahel in Disguise and Trimby in the jungle. I've also got that head-to-head matchup. I think it's Disguised in C9?
Yes.
Yes, playing. So, but unlike you have 2 players playing against each other in the same lane. I've got them on separate sides of the map. I'm hoping Thanatos wins top lane and Disguise wins bot lane.
For some Roman action here.
Nice.
I'm pretty excited for that.
We have one more too. I think we have from the prod room. He's dead now.
My
but
boy.
He's still committing his.
Not dead, dude. He's over on Into the Smoke. He's doing cooler things.
He's
in
in
life.
second place in our standings as well.
Yeah, he's got Boal with the key stars, LTA South action. He's got a lot of LTA South. Wow, Doom for Red,
APA.
Rebello from Red, Redbert from Loud. That's a good pick, and then APA from Liquid. These are solid picks, man. I gotta put some respect on Davis's name.
All right,
Only 4 variety buff though, so
Those are good champion picks for Tad as well, I think.
I'm slowly catching Chris. I close the gap very little every week.
Luckily I did get the first place in the round 5.
Yeah, he
up there.
He got like 119 points this past week.
I actually put thought into last.
Yeah, I'm holding down
helped out
last
a little
place though. But J-Dog, I don't think I'm catching J-Dog. J-Dog's gonna need to take 2 weeks off like I do.
Did we decide what the winner gets? I feel like the winner.
$1 million.
No, sorry. Denied.
Well, they would have had to been established beforehand, so since we didn't do
So he gets
anything,
nothing.
He gets nothing.
Heard that. Got it.
Yeah, because
I actually think I should lose something.
realistically.
Yeah, I have to pay you guys.
You have to show up in the clown suit for winning.
That's a full pivot going into week 7. Everybody starts throwing. Trying to pick who's. Hey, honestly, next season we should do 2 leagues. One where we pick who's going to get the most points, and one where we pick who's going to get the least points.
So you have to also predict.
Yeah.
Predict
You have to predict who's going to lose.
The loser one would require no budgets, obviously, right? You know, you'd probably be picking from the cheapest people. So you would never have budget.
And you have to field 5 people.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you're saying we do a separate league where the goal is to get the least points?
The funny thing
Oh
is
my god.
You pick different character, different players.
The throwing league.
We have some thoughts for next league.
That could be kind of cool.
Unfortunately, I'll be heading all the way into next year, and we'll have to hope that LTA Fantasy is up. But,
LTA's still around. Yeah.
I mean, but did anyone have
That's
any
crazy.
trouble this week? So I know that first week of the elimination was a little bit harder because everyone was like those top teams. This one was kind of a mix between, I think I saw a lot where you could maybe get that one person, like you got Thanatos, right? But then you kind of have to budget the rest.
Yeah.
Also same with Jan.
It felt like the budget was more balanced this time. I
Definitely
think,
like a normal week.
yeah, I originally had a Cloud9 player that took a bunch of my budget, but then did my whole team, and I was like, I don't have enough money. So I took them off and then redid it. But this time I had literally exactly enough budget to have my
I
team.
don't know why he was like a grumpy dad at Toys R Us or something. Like, I ain't got money. I got to put this Transformer back.
Dang economy.
I'm trying to channel Pat because he's.
I went all middle of the pack here, so I made sure not to pick from the bottom or from the top, and it was just like smooth sailing picking. And then the champion pick, man, like I wish there was a little bit more logic to it, but it's just like I see 1.5x, I'm going to pick one of those champions. I don't do 1.3, I don't do 1.7, 1.5.
See, I just picked champions that are probably the most likely to be chosen based on the meta, like Annie mid. I think I see Annie in every series, or sometimes I'll go a step further and like look at their match history of the player and then see who they've played and had success with recently, and then try to like mind game like, oh, will they pick this champion now type thing. But I feel like I'd never get the champion buff anyway, so
yeah,
my method's probably not good.
I picked Camille for Thanatos, and I've been DMing him on Twitter every day. Just saying Camille, nothing else. I'm just trying to subliminally get him to think about it and pick it.
Day 100 of me asking you to pick Camille, please.
Yep. And it's going to pay off one of these days.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted a big boy this week. I generally have been going for the more middle-of-the-route packs, but I wanted a big one. C9 being knocked down to the lower bracket, I felt like this was a big opportunity for Thanatos to just run through freaking Castle and give me a ton of points. No shame to Castle. I mean, Castle's a good player, and he played really good last week, but I feel like C9 is a much better team than Disguised, and they've got something to prove this week.
It's going to be a stomp.
It should be. I don't want to say knock on
whatever that. Yeah.
Wood.
Plexiglass.
Yeah.
Plexiglass.
I avoided the plexiglass. I need to go for the wood.
Just a few weeks left of this as we head into, I wonder if it'll still run through the LTA championship, because we, of course, will finish the elimination in a couple of weeks here and then move on to the LTA championships. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But again, if you want to play with your friends, make sure you go to ltafantasy.com, sign up. You can still make a team and try to see who's the best at picking the best players in champs.
And let us know if we should make a new league where we can invite you guys to play against us. I think that'd be fun.
Leave us a comment below if you want to.
Then we could show off.
Beat you guys too.
Yeah, we'll beat all of you. You guys suck.
Well, speaking of LTA, heading to the LTA Championship, we will go ahead and jump into Around the League, and we'll talk about some of those different leagues and what's happening, because we are finishing up some leagues. We're heading into playoffs for some others. Speaking of heading into playoffs, LCP concluded their last week to decide the seeding. They have their playout bracket all set in stone. CFO, number 1 seed. We can go ahead and bring that up on the screen here. But LCP hasn't changed much since the beginning of the year. CFO, GAM still holding those 1 and 2 spots. We see the rest that have to play into here. But a big thing about this is CFO, if they can qualify for Worlds, will be the only team who has qualified for all 3 Riot International events, including for Stand, MSI, and then if they get the Worlds, they'll be that only team who has done it. It looks like they have a pretty, in my opinion, easy route to go here. They just beat GAM to get that first seed. Team Secret and DFM have been kind of having some struggling of a bit of a season right now. So my big go-to here is that we're most likely going to see CFO all the way to that winner semi, beat GAM, move on, and then it'll be kind of a big jump between seeing if GAM can continue the run or if Vikings can potentially maybe take that second slot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, this region is like, obviously, CFO is the best team, and I'm actually excited about this team. I feel like they got a good chance at Worlds to make a deep run. They've been improving. They've looked very good. I'm a huge Doggo fan, personally. I think Doggo is one of the most fun AD carries to watch. So aggressive. This whole team is very aggressive, and I think that their play style is quite good in this meta. I think that it's not that much of an exciting thing for them to be like the only team to qualify for everything, because their region is just so much worse than them, generally speaking. GAM's good too, don't get me wrong, but I feel like
put some respect on PSG's name too.
It seems kind of obvious that they're gonna make it to all of them.
PSG and GAM, they have a good long history there in that region, but the CFO, I agree with you. Doggo makes me just want to see them come to Worlds and just see how well they can perform.
Yeah,
Q's a beast too.
Yeah, all of them. Pretty good. And now we'll be moving on to LCK, though. LCK is concluding its final week, which will be happening tonight, tomorrow, which way you want to look at it. So a big one, though, is that there's still that battle for second spot. I know we're bringing up T1 a lot in HLE, but, of course, this does mean that if you can get that second spot, it means you automatically get into round 2 of the playoffs for LCK, meaning that you can potentially as well avoid Genji for a little while. Yeah. And so T1 ended up actually losing to KT, which means that they lost their second place spot, then comes back. Of course, everyone's ablaze on Twitter. Then they beat HLE once again, proving that it may have been a fluke, the loss to KT. They maybe just weren't feeling it that day. But we see the series here. It was a 3-game series. Game number 2 was absolutely electric from HLE.
Let's look at that gold graph, man. Like, HLE should have won this game. T1 T1 should have won this game, but HLE just made the craziest like end game plays. They were so patient. I mean, both teams were playing patient. I would argue T1 maybe played too patient in this game, and that's why they ultimately lost. They like decided like, oh, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. And then, of course, one Baron fight and HLE just wins. So,
yeah. So, looking at the other games as well, of course, that game 2 or this into the game 3, they just completely ran through this one. But I mean, there's a lot of big contrasts, I think, between it. We're going to see. So this week, though, I unfortunately don't have the full bracket for this week. But HLE does play NS, who is the pretty much bottom of the barrel right now for that legend side. But then T1 is having what are people considering it's Hell Week because they have to play HLE, and now they have to play Gen G in their last match as well. If HLE can win and then T1 ends up losing to Gen G, there's the big possibility that they move back down into that 3rd spot. So T1 has their work cut out for them, but HLE on the opposite hand, they've been kind of having some, rough weeks as well. This could be, NS's turn to finally maybe pick up a win here, and that could ruin HLE's spot to get that number 2 spot because everything's heating up, of course. Top 4 do move on when we start talking about playoffs there. But
is it weird that T1 losing to KT gives me more confidence in them against Gen G? Yeah. Like, for some reason, when they lose to a team that they shouldn't lose to, I just feel like they're going to come back like dogs in the next week.
That's what they did against HLE.
Like 100%. They just they throw and then they get the motivation and the fire and then they find a way to use it. I don't think they're going to beat Gen G. I think we'll see 28-1 Gen G to end off the LCK, but this is a weird. I've got a weird feeling in my stomach about this.
I mean, this is the story of T1 every single year, is it not? Like, they look like they're struggling. Oh, they're having a bad season. And then they just, when Worlds is about to approach, they just step up to another level.
It's usually when they get into the actual playoffs, though. It's usually when that time's to shine. So them actually kind of like, because I think I was looking at the actual score, and unfortunately, they don't really show it to you here. Like when you look at most of the rosters for it, because rounds 1 and 2 went into rounds 3 through 5 as well, so you didn't have that break off. But if you were to have put it solely based off of the split 3, then it would be a heavy favorite for T1 just sitting like completely solid in that number 2 spot. But because they didn't have a really good rounds 1 and 2, they have to kind of make up for it right now towards the end.
Listen, if they get the number 2 slot, they could end up having to play KT again. KT, with that win, they got themselves in that lower side of the bracket. So maybe they don't even want the number 2 slot.
Yeah, I don't have any concern either way. I think SKT are going to make Worlds. And if they have to beat Gen G to do it, I know that they'll step up and beat Gen G to do it. So Gen G already comfy. They're already in Worlds because they won MSI, so they can just sit back and kind of relax. If they wanted to take their foot off the gas, I mean, they're good. They're coasting.
It was really interesting. We were actually talking about that the other day, but it was that they had to make playoffs. So this year, instead of they had to, so the MSI, once they had secured playoffs, which they did after one game because of their round 1 and 2 score, it made it mathematically impossible for them to not make playoffs after that. They got Worlds, so they've been kind of just sitting there. But they did lose their undefeated streak, so we'll have to see if they lose to T1 once again. But jumping ship, let's go ahead and go over to LEC.
Yeah, so LEC I feel like is pretty much the same as it's been for a long time. The big difference to me though is G2 is looking way more informed than they were in the earlier parts of the year. I feel like they're kind of finding that G2 magic that we're used to seeing from them in prior years. And then Carmine Corp is going to be their first match in playoffs, and Imkoi and Fnatic are playing on the other side of the bracket. I think that's going to be a really good match. Fnatic has been looking stronger recently as well, but we've always talked about LEC is so hard to predict, man. These teams, like you think it's impossible for a team to lose and then they lose, or you think it's just hard to predict.
Yeah, and there's an interesting real storyline going around with the LEC right now. A lot of the players, Noah from Giant X is the one who I saw tweet about it, are very critical of the format. We've been critical of their format too. We've talked about it on this show, but it's really coming to a head now where players are playing one best of 5 and then they need to take 10 days off before they play their next series. And then they're trying to look ahead to future competitions where they're going to be playing against LPL and LCK teams who play a series every single day. Like it's just not comparable there. So there is some drama going on in the LEC too. I think in the lower.
Yeah, it's tough, man. If you don't have as many matches, like you're just not going to be informed. Like scrimming is one thing, but you're never going to get the same experience as like when there's more on the line to play for, and it's it's tough. If they're not getting the same level of reps as these other regions, like it could be bad once we get to the international events. We saw Europe really struggle at MSI, right? So I don't know.
Also about the quality of the reps. You know, the good teams that we have in the LEC aren't getting to play against each other. That's one of the things that I'm excited about the playoffs right now is that we're getting to see some more of those big level
higher
matchups.
tier matchups. Yeah.
And no flame against G2, but they end up the only like real test was Fnatic in the group, and this of course adding Poby. Poby did very well, but you know, going up against Caps, you're going up against the whole G2 team. While on the other end, I would say that Koi and Carmine Corp maybe had the better of that. They at least got to play each other once, and these teams are a lot closer in skill level to each other, as we saw KC take it off of Koi. Koi still ends up having the better, you know, series score, game score. So they end up getting that first place spot as well in Group A, but they only got to play each other once. And we're going to be probably hypercritical about, you know, another regions format that we get into a little bit as well. But I didn't like it. I like the idea of different groups, but I like it more if we're seeing those top tier teams play against each other.
No, I'm a big Carmine Corp fan. I'm hoping that they step up. But like I said, G2 has been looking clean. That could go either way, though, if we're being real. If Carmine Corp play their best, I think they'll beat G2. But
You're locking that in?
I'm locking that in.
Locked in.
I'm locking in G2.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the old gods.
Chris likes K Corp. I know. I'll take K Corp as well. I think so.
Bunch of haters.
3v1.
Nobody believes in Caps. Y'all are ridiculous.
I mean,
Oh, wow.
it's not that I don't believe in him. It's more that I'm a fan of KC and I want them
It's
to
not
win.
that we don't think they'll get there.
Yeah.
We just don't think we'll get there through KC.
Yeah.
That's fair.
True.
That's fair.
I might not think they're going to get there. I don't know.
And then,
I like Caps a lot, but I think Vladdy is just a beast. Like, I mean, if I'd take Vladdy against a lot of players, so.
like I said, Callist is like one of my favorite ADCs to watch. Kid is cracked. Young prodigy. I guess it's worth mentioning the two teams that are out, Navi and SK. RIP. Navi only got to play, 3 series since they got their spot. That's an expensive 3 series, but of course, they're playing the long game. Hopefully they can rebuild and come back stronger for next year.
Yeah, an SK Classic. Pretty much always down there, you know. We'll get some.
really
Maybe they'll get some more of their players to go to the talent
I would
desk
say
and
just-
cast some games.
We talked about Dignitas a lot, kind of like that, but it kind of feels like SK has kind of been in the similar boat for LEC for a little while now, where they just haven't really been able to find that magic that maybe they saw kind of towards the beginning. We're talking about season 2, 3, back in those days when we did see a little more magic from the SK team. This year, it just wasn't working out for them too well. And
Yeah, kind of a surprising team from that region, though, is like Team Heretics. They're a little hard to predict. They're like, when they're hot, they're really hot, but they also have like super low lows. So if they can find some consistency, like you would see a new team enter that conversation as far as competition goes. And I hope that they can find that balance in their coaching staff and get that in line a little bit.
I feel like it's an attainable goal. I don't think like EU is as like one-sided as it used to be. Like G2 and Fnatic used to be so far ahead of everybody else that if you were telling me that Heretics could get to that level, I would kind of scoff at it. But I think everybody's kind of came down. So getting to that level is 100% possible.
Yeah.
I'll also say that Giant X and Vitality have actually been looking a lot better too. So the lower bracket matches are going to be interesting and spicy. I'll probably be watching most of these matches.
Yeah, I think it's realistic you see some upsets in that region.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm up, so we're going to go to the LTA. I'm going to start with the LTA North, guys, and I'm doing that because, let's be honest, this week was kind of sucky, right? Like, nothing really exciting happened here. Everything was kind of business as usual. So we talk about Disguised versus Dignitas. We just saw a Game 5 banger series with them. Unfortunately, this one a bit more one-sided. Disguised does win that, right? 3-1, eliminating Dignitas, putting them down in 8th place. Bit of a heartbreak for Dignitas because I felt like last split they started to get a little bit of fire under their system there. The highest kill streak in that series was just a triple kill, right? And so you're going to see that theme, right, going throughout here where it's kind of boring. But shout out to Rahel on his Unera and then Photon on the Jace in Game 4. But I do want to call out Photon, right, because even though Dignitas did kind of get a stomp, Photon actually had a lot of good moments there. His Jace performance was very good, and he was their top performer of the series. He got 17 kills, which isn't a lot in the grand scheme, but when you're getting stomped 3-1, like that's pretty respectable, you know? So I thought that was pretty nice. It is unfortunate that Dignitas goes home and Disguise get to do kind of a send-off tribute for themselves because no matter what, they are in that promotional tournament that's coming up. So I'm excited to see how far they go. And I think that if they keep accelerating in skill the way that they are, I do think it's realistic that the series versus Cloud9 is a lot closer than people think. because Cloud9 haven't looked like their old form, at least in this kind of split, right? It's kind of divided up in weird ways. So I'm looking forward to that matchup, and very specifically, I'm looking forward to Castle versus Thanatos. So it's interesting that you picked him there.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be a banger series. Did you guys watch? You have any comments on anything before I jump ahead?
Yeah, I was going to talk about Lion. I was a little bit sad to see them.
I didn't get there yet.
Oh, sorry.
Dignitas and Disguise, man.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well,
We'll talk about
on my point with that is I think this is actually really good. Not alluding to the C9, but looking a little ahead further towards that promotional tournament. I actually think these 2 wins versus Dignitas is going to give them a lot of momentum and shows that they did make the right choice on making those changes in their roster that they want to stay. And I obviously think if Toast just wanted to say, I had my LTA run, I get in there for 1 year, then got out, if he, kept Scary Jerry, etc. for that, I would have seen that happening. But making these changes over to the current team, I think it shows that he does want it to be at least a team that can compete with some others, and I do actually think they have a strong chance of winning the promotion.
Yeah, I'm liking it. They look solid. I think it's a good little combination of a team playing good and also just the community kind of rallying behind a team. I think it's just not your traditional esport org that paid a ton of money to get in, so it's a little bit easier to root for them. So yeah, I like everything they're doing. I do think maybe we need a logo rebrand, but I like the name. We just need a real logo, like a spooky ghost or something.
Yeah, Toast just needs
spooky
to donate
ghost bread.
his Toast logo.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be perfect. So just jumping into 100 Thieves versus Lion. This was my obviously most heartbreaking series of the split because Lion, I'm a big fan with them. I try to engage with them on Twitter and hype them up because I believe in this roster a lot. Unfortunately, they did not show up for this series. 100 Thieves 3-1 closed that out. It's expected for the results right now. Me personally, if I put my bias aside, this is a realistic outcome. But I think that at their potential, Lions should have beat this squad. So it's really heartbreaking for me that Lion go out in that 7th, 8th seed spot.
FBI kind of popped off.
FBI went wild. That's exactly the note I have here. He had 24 kills across series, and game 1 he opens up. It's like right to close out game 1, he gets a quadra kill on Corky.
Yep.
And it's like if FBI starts playing hot, I think he's one of the best AD carries in the league, and no one's standing against him. I love Lion in the support role, but he's not going to neutralize FBI, right? He doesn't have that type of agency or that type of impact there. But overall, I mean, it was a series as expected, so I'm not going to harp on it too much. But were there any good moments from that series? For you guys, or was it pretty much business?
Well, I wasn't going to talk about the series specifically. I'm just sad that like the Surdy like redemption arc didn't fully come to fruition. It would have been awesome to see them win this because then they would rematch against Team Liquid, who they previously beat in week 2. So that would have been fun to watch. It is. I feel like Surdy can't feel too bad though because the team that he left, Dignitas, also is out. So it's not like. I don't know. He probably wanted to go further than them so that he could say like, yeah, you guys are worse without me type thing. But, it is what it is. He'll have another chance, hopefully.
Yeah. For me, this one was just kind of big. I know there's the sentiment of Lion not losing. I was, getting on the Lion hype train. I really like their team. But for me, I do like that T1 at least has a couple more games to play in the LTA. This was, a big team in the LCS. They made a lot of, good strides in the LCS before the rebranding to LTA. And I really kind of hope that they at least get to play in front of a live audience at least once more. Unfortunately, they were in the closet last weekend because VCT was going on and they're heading towards Paris. So they don't play in the live audience. So when they're playing both games back to back, they have like a smaller studio down where there's no audience for them being played, which people are calling the Riot Closet because there's no one else to be able to watch them there to play it. Or the dungeon, whatever, which one you want to say it is. But I hope they at least get to play against or in front of an audience at least once more so that if there are big 100 Thief fans that are League of Legends fans, that they can at least see the team play on stage before their exit, whether or not it's at Worlds or if it's in the playoffs right now.
Yep, I agree. This set the stage for what I believe is going to be like our best setup for playoffs, though. We are going to have Cloud9 versus Disguise. That was chosen by Cloud9, so they're calling them out, and I hope Disguise step up there. And then Liquid versus 100 Thieves. So 100 Thieves are going to face their demons. I don't think they'll make it past that. And then, of course, we get Shopify Rebellion versus FlyQuest. Winner goes to Worlds because they're the champion, whatever, of the conference, however they're labeling this stuff these days. I am getting flashed by production. We are over time. So LTA South, I'm going to go through that really fast. Loud versus Fluxo, 3-0. honestly, not a lot to talk about there. Fluxo, not a good team in the region. And then Isurus Gaming versus Leviathan. This was a 3-2 scoreline, so it is a Game 5 series. You would think that this is an exciting series because of that. Skip the fluff, watch Game 4. That's pretty much the best game of the series. And that was a good matchup. The important thing here is what this sets up. Isurus goes down, and they get knocked out. They are the guest slot there in that region, so they're going to go into their promo tournament without any type of win, right? So they don't get that kind of glory send-off like Disguised. And then I have in here a special shout-out to the Liga Regional Norte, because then we have our first qualifier for the North American knockout stage, who is going to face Disguised, and that is the SDM Tigris. They beat Estral Esports, who was the #1 in the region.
We lost a lion and we got a tiger.
Yep. And so we're going to have Tigers versus that, and then Fuego is the other most likely one that will end up there in that spot. So we're starting to see that thing of who they can start scouting Disguised out with this kind of resurgence that they've got. And that's it. Sorry I ran over time.
So,
Love you guys.
remember,
You had 2 regions to cover.
remember, it is super
Also did
weak.
Chris, but.
It is super weak. So matches start on Friday instead of Saturday. So if you want to catch all the action, make sure that you tune in correctly this week. But we still have one more region left that is just finishing up. And
Yeah. So LPL is the last one. This region, guys, it's a lot. There's so many teams.
It's a hornet's
There's so
nest.
many teams and so many games.
You have
We're-
3 regions.
Yes, pretty much. I mean, in the number of teams, pretty much.
Yeah.
We are getting very close to playoffs. Our top 4 teams just qualified in with the IGBLG match that we just saw finish as we were recording this. We said bye to 2 teams, Thunder Talk and LNG. And now we have Knights Rivals, which is where those remaining 8 teams are going to play 1 match each to get into the final playoffs bracket. But there's just been a ton of action. All the top teams are playing, losing to each other, losing to other teams that they shouldn't be losing to. Like AL had a real big fall off for a while there. Top Esports was looking really good, but then they almost lost to Fun Plus Phoenix yesterday. So it's been pure chaos. I mean, it's always like that.
It's always that
Yeah.
reason. It's such a cutthroat area. That's why you always see a new team kind of emerge from there. You know, it's like Star Wars Royal, or it's Fun Plus Phoenix, or it's
Edward.
Edward, right? Or it's IG, right? All the time, these players cycle in and out, and you just see these new powerhouse teams. It's such an exciting region for that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you can pull for anyone, and you feel good.
Yeah, with that as well, like it will be interesting because for much to the LCK, since they did get the runner-up at MSI, we'll have 4 teams that will be going through them that will automatically move into that world spot, and then that 4th one will face off against LCK's 4 seed as well to see who gets that play-in group. But looking at those top 4 that we're looking at right now, as you said, IG secured that 2nd spot over BLG. But we have top back on top here. You know, they're looking pretty good going into the split number 3, but we know how they kind of faltered at first stand. So maybe this could be a redemption arc if they are able to make worlds and, you know, be like, okay, first stand was kind of fluke. We didn't mean to do all that.
Their redemption arc wouldn't come until they get to Worlds,
Right.
because this team is traditionally very dominant locally, domestically, and then they get to the international tournaments and fumble. So I'd actually expect Top's my favorite team to potentially win this. Not the team that I'm rooting for. If you're looking for a team to root for, a little bit underdog team, NIP, the Ninjas in Pajamas, Doe and B, their mid laner. I think that they have a little bit of freaking magic to them that they could pull something off with.
See, Davis is on the show. Davis loves Nip.
Does he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He talks about Nip on Counter-Strike all the time.
Counter-Strike,
Yeah.
It's,
Doing
if you
BS,
know,
right?
you know. Go check out the other few.
Yeah, Doin be known for his insane CS. It's like become synonymous with him. I'm just surprised by the fall off by AL, to be honest. Like, this is a team that we were really high on at MSI and earlier in the year, and they just haven't looked the same. I expect them to like kind of bounce back and like show that they are the powerhouse that we saw before. But I agree with you. Top looks great. 369. You can never sleep on this guy, and of course Jackie Love, a favorite. So
Yeah, I think the thing with AL is they were so dominant at MSI and they did look really good. But when you go back to the LPL, there's so many good teams. Like I almost feel like it's the different. Like LCK, I think has higher highs, but there's less super competitive teams. I feel like there's probably 12 really, really good teams in the LPL.
Yeah.
And you only get to see 4 of them. So it's difficult, but as long as they can get into that top 3 and qualify, I think we'll have a good showing from them at Worlds.
I haven't researched this in a while, but I think that TSM originally left the LCS because they were going to go and make
That was
an
the
LPL team.
Yep.
And I just haven't heard anything about that, but I would love to see the TSM brand start to flourish there and become a top team. It'd be great. And honestly, just buy AL or buy ALD or something.
NIP has only been in the LPL for like 2 years, and they're getting to a competitive state now. They've got good players. They're competing for playoff spots. So it's not that unfeasible, but I do feel like we would have heard something. NIP just bought their slot and then immediately got in. So I feel like if TSM wanted to, they could.
Yep, and so that heads us final weeks for LCK LPL. Now we're heading into playoffs for everyone. Worlds right around the corner. So we talked about some of the teams that we think might get there, might not get there. Let us know who your favorites are from each region that you hope make Worlds, because we're going to head straight into it. We're going over to China as well, so we're talking about having that domestic buff and all those good teams there. We could see something happening and maybe even a big upset, but we'll have to wait to see as time goes on. But thank you all for joining us once again. That'll conclude today's queued up session. No clutch or kick today, unfortunately, for Kep as he's showing it up. But hopefully we'll bring it back when we have a little more to talk about in terms of... Oh, no. Eli kicked it. No clutch or kick. Sorry, everyone. We'll see you next time.
He did the Nick, the upside down sign.
Oh, yep.